Well, everyone, a shifter always pay his dues, and because of that, and the profits that I made yesterday, let's see what Bitcoin did lately, the weekly market structure, the daily market structure, and few concepts that I want to cover. So let's get it. Without further ado, I want to mention two important things. First, as you can see, I also have a hat, so it depends what type of hat I have. No mention to Vanek, etc. This is just merch that I got from them. Investor hat means that on a weekly time frame, I'm not calling a top, so I think it's very important to mention this. I don't see yet a violation of the weekly structure. So from a spot holding perspective, I didn't sell any of my Bitcoin. I don't think that this is the local top. And even if this would be the local top, I don't care so much of catching the Pico top or the Pico bottom. I think only amateurs or people who just want to get clout or engagement, they care about, absolute tops and absolute bottoms. So I don't care about that. So let's get something very clear out of the way. I don't think this is the local. I don't think that this is the cycle top. And even if this would be a cycle top, most likely I would miss it. So that's that. Second of all, the concepts that I covered in the last few days, and I said that Bitcoin is bearish. Bitcoin is bearish on the daily chart, and most likely it took damage on the daily structure. So from the trader's hat perspective, I am bearish until I see that Bitcoin is going to print some bottoming formations, until I'm going to see that Bitcoin has some reversal patterns, and price action is going to confirm that buyers reclaimed control above some important levels that we're going to discuss very, very soon. On a market structure perspective, although this might sound, very trivial and like usual, a lot of people don't follow simple concepts. This is a higher, low structure. On weekly, Bitcoin is still in this kind of structure. On daily, though, since a few days ago, when I said that price action, leads, and it's king, a concept that many do not understand in general. I just mentioned that on the daily chart, as you're going to see on Bitcoin right now, this kind of structure, which was higher lows and higher highs, so higher highs and higher lows, was invalidated. So on weekly, we don't have that. That's why I'm not selling any of my spot allocations. I'm still very heavy into Bitcoin right now, a few alts here and there, but I don't see anything happening on a higher time frame structure. However, from a trading perspective, on the daily time frame, we lost this structure. We printed some distribution, right? And because on that pullback, we invalidated the last higher low, we started forming a sequence of lower highs and lower lows and of redistributions, which you're going to see very soon. This is very, very simple, very, very basic. So let's get to it. And this is just Bitcoin chart. This is Bitcoin's weekly chart. And as you can see, until now, I don't see any invalidation. I have some levels under which most likely the structure is going to get invalidated. But until now, everything looks fine. We had this kind of pullbacks, as you can see in the past. So it was not linear. This to me shows a lot of maturity of this asset. It shows investors from institutional grade level, right? So we didn't have from last cycle only this kind of parabolic runs and sharp drops. We had gradual growth, and after that corrections, which are normal and healthy and usual, because it gives the chances for other people who missed the rally to join the rally and push the prices higher, or the people who took profits along the way to rejoin. And as you can see, we just went higher. Even here, right, when everything seemed that it's going to go to shit, we had a period of correction. We printed a false break to the downside and we continued to the upside. Even here again, another correction, and it resolved to the upside. So for now, for me, this is just a correction. Although if we're gonna lose important levels like I would say 104, 105, it's not gonna look pretty short term, because it's gonna be also a distribution on the higher time frame, which will be like the weekly chart. For now, this looks okay, but I also said to the guys in my community, if we're gonna drop under, let's say 198, so there is an important area around 98 to 100, I'll become neutral even on a higher time frame. And if for me the line in the sand would be 92. Under 92, I'll sell most likely most of my altcoins, and I'll retreat maybe to Bitcoin, but I don't think so. Under 92, like I said, is my line in the sand. And under 92 level, I'll look to exit completely the altcoins, even on a loss, if they're going to be on a loss. And based on what's going to happen and how fast the things are gonna move. Maybe also some of my Bitcoin, but you know, in general, my plan in the beginning of this bull run was to not sell any of the Bitcoin up to some crazy targets, which for now they are not met, and most likely they will be in the future. But I'm also prepared for the secondary scenario. So like I said, I started with the weekly time frame, and on the weekly time frame, there is no invalidation so far. So I'm still waiting to see what type of reaction we're gonna have when we're gonna hit 104 and 105. If we're gonna have a dip lower, I would not be so afraid because we can have something very similar to this, right? So as you can see, here again, people said that the cycle ended, the top is there, etc. We printed a false break to the downside, and after that, we just went much higher. The same here. I would not be surprised to see the same type of setup. There is a new pattern that is very, very famous in the crypto space. It's called the bullish PO3. So this was that case with the accumulation, with the deviation, and with the expansion. So this can be the same, like accumulation, deviation, we can have the manipulation, and after that, we can have the expansion. So like I said, even if we're going to have a dip lower, as long as on an invalidation of the 104, 105 area, we will hold above 98, 100. I'll not be worried. Until then, I'll still be bullish neutral. Under 98, 100, I'll flip fully neutral, and under 92, I'll flip full bearish because the chart will tell me so. So this is from a higher time frame perspective. On a lower time frame perspective, these were the main reasons, and you can see also this on the daily chart. These were the main reasons why I flipped bearish around this area last weekend, if you remember. So somewhere around here when we started reversing and we started printing this distribution. Besides that distribution, this also looked like a lower high after the last rally which we had in August. But the confirmation or the signs that I got were from price action on lower time frames, which were much, much clearer. And since early September, we started printing a nice structure of higher highs and higher lows. However, and I mentioned this on Twitter several times, 116, 117 area was an important level because this was the level which we lost in middle of August, and buyers could not reclaim it. And although we started printing some bottoming formations and higher low structure, which was bullish up to some point, this was a false break. And a false break in one direction most of the times leads to a bigger move in the opposite direction. So as you can see, false break in one direction led to a bigger move to the opposite direction. For now, although some people are still very, very bullish short term, anybody can have their reasons. Does not mean that I have the perfect analysis, the absolute truth. However, for me, with the trader's hat on, as long as we lost this level, which was around 114 and a half, it was a confirmation that this was the distribution, right? And even before that, I had, even on lower time frames, on like 1 hour, I had confirmations that this might be a local top. Again, emphasis on the local top. After that, this was the second confirmation, and actually this is the confirmation that I needed to know that this is a topping pattern, local topping pattern, when we had the risk distribution. And now, although, again, I said, I don't like permas. I don't like perma bulls. I don't like perma bears. I like people who look at charts with a cold approach, regardless of how bullish you are, of how bearish you are. If something changes in the market structure, I appreciate people who have the fluidity and the flexibility, they're elastic in their approach, right? So distribution, redistribution, and this, and as you can see, I still have it as a redistribution, but with question mark, because for now, this uptrend, which we were printing since 1st of September, was invalidated when we lost 114 areas. So from higher highs and higher lows, this is very simple. We have a new sequence of lower highs and lower lows. I don't need to draw trend lines. For me, trend lines are secondary to price action, secondary to market structure, secondary to supports and resistances. I just know that this is, for now, lower highs and lower lows structure. When I'm gonna flip to the opposite side, so when I'm gonna flip back bullish also, lower time frame or on the daily chart, whenever I'm gonna see that buyers printed some accumulation formation, some bottoming formation, some inverse head and shoulders, some falling wedges, which is not the case, because as you can see, after the first distribution and the clear confirmation candle from the sellers, which showed that buyers lost control and sellers are in full control, we couldn't print any sequence of new highs. and we just got rejected at all the boundaries. More than that, on the 25th of September, so Thursday, we had another confirmation candle to the downside, and again, we are ranging. And any type of attempt that we had since Thursday, so in the last 2 days, to break back above these new highs was invalidated. So the market does not have any more acceptance above the current highs. This means that, again, sellers are in control, and most likely this is a redistribution pattern. Short term, as you can see, we have some lows since late August, the beginning of September, where we started printing the last uptrend. So in case we're losing 108.6 area, this would be my immediate targets, with a little bit lower targets around 105, like I was mentioning before, 104, 105. So looking at this, if I was bullish short term on this sequence, just because I'm a price action trader, this does not allow me short term to be also bullish until I don't see a reclaim from the buyer. So like I said, some bottoming patterns, falling wedges, inverse head and shoulders, double bottoms, etc., which are none until now. So what I want to see this weekend or over the weekend, I want to see if we are invalidating this area and we're moving towards 107 or even 105 in the upcoming weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks before we have some bottoming patterns, or in order for me to become back bullish, I need to see some clear evidence from the buyers in the current structure that we left the bottoms behind. And I would like to see an accumulation pattern here, or just an accumulation range. And after that, started printing some bottoming formation, like market structures, higher highs and higher lows, like we had here. Very simple. Here we also had some double bottom, etc. But I want to see evidence that the buyers are interested to come back in at these levels and put up a fight and just see some sellers exhaustion. My levels, or the levels that I would be interested, first one would be around 112, as you can see when we lost these lows from here, 111.7, 112. This is a full area, 112. That would be the first sign that we left the bottoms behind. And a continuation would be around 114. This, looking back and looking at what happened, most likely above 114, 115, I would flip back at least bullish neutral and full bullish above 116, 117, the area where we printed the last false break. So very simple price action, nothing too fancy. For now, I still think that short term, until we have a reclaim of the 112 area at least, and a continuation above 114, any type of bounce that is going to get rejected can be another opportunity to short. Again, this is from a trader's perspective, from the trading hat. When it comes to the investor's hat, on spot, I don't think that is plus EV to start, trading right now, thinking to sell and buy back lower, etc. This is the fastest way to destroy your spot account. But short term, any type of bounce or any type of rally that we're going to have from here without reclaiming 112 area and continuing to and above 114, I will look to short these rallies after the rejections. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you on the next one.